Hi, everyone. My name is Renee Branson, the Resilience Renegade with RB Consulting. And I have a question for you today. What would it mean if well-being within a law firm were not just a nice to have, but if it were a strategic priority directly related to a firm's profitability? What difference would that make? I'm going to be answering that question along with a great group of folks I want to talk about in just a moment. But I'm going to be talking about that in a workshop that we are having in partnership with Inside Practice on June 7th. And below this video, I'm going to link information on how to register for that workshop. But I want to talk right now about how that can be and should be a strategic priority related to profitability. So let's talk some numbers for a little bit. Now, I'm not a financial expert. I am not an economist. I'm a mental health professional. So for me, I'm motivated by the altruistic nature of well-being. But I know that there are a lot of motivators for a lot of different people, different motivations for different people. So I really want to talk about what that economic motivation is and should be. We know, according to the World Health Organization, that every year there is $1 trillion lost in productivity due to poor mental health and well-being. Now, that is across all industries and all professions, $1 trillion. So of that $1 trillion, what does that look like for the legal profession? So we're going to kind of start with this big number, and let's kind of take it down a bit. What does that actually mean? Well, we know also, according to research, that law firms lose an average of $22 million a year of their annual staffing cost due to attrition, turnover, poor productivity, all of the things that are related to poor mental well-being. So law firms are losing that much every year. We also know, let's get it a little bit more narrow, right? We also know that 44% of associates leave their firms within the first 3 years they're there. Now, for those of you who are in a firm right now, maybe you're someone who works very closely with the process of bringing new associates in. And you know what that recruitment is like. And you know all of the time, talent, and treasure that you're investing in bringing in new associates. Now, consider the fact that close to half of them, after all of that time, talent, and treasure that you've invested in bringing them in, half of them are going to leave. And now we're starting back over. And how much does that cost? Well, we know that the replacement cost for every associate, or really any, even if it's a partner who happens to leave, replacement cost is anywhere from 1.5 to 2 times the departing lawyer's compensation. So you can run some quick numbers on that. If you know that approximately half, a little lower than half of all of your associates are going to leave within the first 3 years, that number times the salary that the compensation that they're making, and then 1.5 or 2 times that every 3 years is what your firm is potentially losing. So those are some real numbers, and those real numbers really do impact the profitability and the bottom line of the law firm. It impacts your economic stability and your economic resilience, not only your mental health resilience and your well-being resilience. So there's good news here. The good news is that the World Health Organization has also been able to show that for every $1 invested in mental health and well-being, there is a $4 return on that investment. Now, again, I've said my background is not being a finance guru. I'm a mental health professional, but I'll take those numbers. Yes, please. Yes, thank you. The thing is the next question that I often get from people is, okay, great. Invest in what? What do I do? What does that investment look like? And how do I operationalize it? Do I invest in fruit bowls and healthy snacks and yoga breaks, and that's going to be a $4 return on every dollar spent? Probably not. You probably get some return on that. That's an important thing. I'm a big fan of fruit and yoga and massage chairs. Let's do that. But what can make even a broader, more holistic impact on your firm? And that's what we're really going to spend a lot of time talking about, because it might not look like some of these solutions on the surface might not look like well-being solutions. Like, what does this have to do? We're not going to talk a lot about mindfulness and meditation here. One of the favorite things I like to talk about. We're not going to talk about that a whole lot. So what are we going to talk about? Well, first of all, it's not going to only be me talking in this workshop. We've pulled together some really fantastic team of people who are going to speak about this from their vantage point. Because you've got me from the vantage point of a mental health professional, but let's look at this again systemically and holistically. So we're going to be joined by 3 other people. We're going to be joined by Benjamin Carpenter. He is a general counsel of a bank, and he is going to be speaking about this from the perspective of a client, right? We know that we can and should be motivated by what a client sees as important. And his vantage point is happy, healthy attorneys make better attorneys, which mean better outcomes for his bank, right? Seems pretty basic. We're also going to be talking to Camille Stell with Lawyers Mutual, and she's going to be talking about this from the perspective of liability insurers, because we also know that when we have legal professionals, attorneys, business professionals within a firm who are suffering from poor well-being, we know that there is a higher rate of liabilities across the board. So from that vantage point, we're going to be talking about the importance of investing. And then we're going to be talking with Mike Kasdan, who is a partner at a firm, and talking about, from his perspective, his ability to work more efficiently, more effectively, more creatively when his well-being is in check. And he's going to talk about how he's done that in many ways. So we're going to be, so the 4 of us are going to be having this conversation. And yes, we're going to be talking about some mental health ways to improve and strengthen and make our mental health and mental well-being more resilient. But we're also going to talk about other things, again, that might not seem related at first glance to mental well-being. We are going to talk about things like work allocation. Right? What happens when you have some associates who are so overworked to the point of being burned out on one hand, and 2 doors down or around down the hall and around the corner, you have other associates who are being underutilized to the point of they might leave because of that reason, because they're not being utilized to the best of their ability. So how do we change that work allocation to the benefit of both attorneys and to the benefit of the firm? We're going to be talking about how we recruit from the beginning that supports mental well-being and supports the match, the cultural match and the fit, to make sure that those new associates make it beyond those first 3 years and well beyond that. We're going to be talking about meaningful mentorship and sponsorship. We're going to talk about some leadership training for practice group leaders for how to do things like that work allocation, how we make that happen. We're going to talk about also assessment of the current culture. You have to identify a problem before you can begin to solve the problem. So we might think that we know what some of the challenges are in our firms, but until we really get in and we make that assessment, we really don't know what our landscape looks like. So how do we assess? How does a law firm assess where their strengths and their challenges are? And then also, being able to assess the current benefits, the things that you already do have in place. Are they being utilized? Are they being underutilized? What does your EAP look like? Is that being utilized? Is it really is it great as a standalone and there's not a lot else you need? Are there some other benefits that you need to include, or simply some systems for making that using those benefits easier and more manageable for people? So those are a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be going through some real life kind of ripped from the headline scenarios. I call it kind of the Law and Order moment. You know, names and firms' names have been changed to protect the innocent. But we're going to be talking about some things that we have seen happen and how it impacts, for better and for worse, law firms' profitability when they invest in well-being and when they unfortunately do not. And this workshop will have a lot of engagement, a lot of group participation. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to have you all join. I'm going to put a link, like I said, below this video for how you can register. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you on June the 7th with Camille and with Ben and with Mike. I think we're going to have a really great conversation, and I'm looking forward to you joining us.